Return soon. From Madras, I proceeded to Calcutta, where I found myself hemmed by difficulties. I knew no one there, so I took a room in the Great Eastern Hotel. Here I became acquainted with Mr. Ellenthorpe, a representative of the Daily Telegraph. He invited me to the Bengal Club where he was staying. He did not then realize that an Indian could not be taken to the drawing room of the club. Having discovered the restriction, he took me to his room. He expressed his sorrow regarding the prejudice of the local Englishmen and apologized to me for not having been able to take me to the drawing room. I had, of course, to see Surendranath Banerjee, the idol of Bengal. When I met him, he was surrounded by a number of friends. He said, I am afraid people will not take interest in your work. As you know, our difficulties here are by no means few. But you must try it as best you can. You will have to enlist the sympathy of Maharajas. Mind you meet the representatives of the British Indian Association. You should meet Raja Sir Pyari Mohan Mukherjee and Maharaja Tagore. Both are liberal minded and take a fair share in public work. I met these gentlemen but without success. Both gave me a cold reception and said it was no easy thing to call a public in Calcutta. And if anything could be done, it would practically all depend on Surendranath Banerjee. I saw that my task was becoming more and more difficult. I called at the office of the Amrita Bazar Patrika. The gentleman whom I met there took me to a wandering Jew. The Bangabasi went even one better. The editor kept me waiting for an hour. He had evidently many interviewers, but he could not so much as look at me even when he had disposed of the rest. On my venturing to broach my subject after the long wait, he said, Don't you see our hands are full? There is no end to the number of visitors like you. You had better go. I am not disposed to listen to you. For a moment I felt offended, but I quickly understood the editor's position. I had heard of the fame of the Bangabasi. I could see there was a regular stream of visitors there, and they were all people acquainted with him. His paper had no lack of topics to discuss, and South Africa was hardly known at that time. However serious a grievance may be in the eyes of the man who suffers from it, he will be but one of the numerous people invading the editor's office, each with a grievance of his own. How is the editor to meet them all? Moreover, the aggrieved party imagines that the editor is a power in the land. Only he knows that his powers can hardly travel beyond the threshold of his office. But I was not discouraged. I kept on seeing editors of other papers. As usual, I met the Anglo-Indian editors also. The statesmen and the Englishmen realized the importance of the question. I gave them long interviews and they published them in full. Mr. Saunders, editors of the Englishman, claimed me as his own. He placed his office and paper at my disposal. He even allowed me the liberty of making whatever changes I liked in the leading article he had written on the situation, the proof of which he sent me in advance. It is no exaggeration to say that a friendship grew up between us. He promised to render me all the help he could, carried out the promise to the letter, and kept on his correspondence with me until the time when he was seriously ill. Throughout, throughout my life, I have had the privilege of many such friendships, which have sprung upon quite unexpectedly. What Mr. Saunders liked in me was my freedom from exaggeration and my devotion to truth. He subjected me to a searching cross-examination before he began to sympathize with my cause, and he saw that I had spared neither will nor pains to place before him an impartial statement of the case, even of the white man in South Africa, and also to appreciate it. My experience has shown me that we win justice quickest by rendering justice to the other party. The unexpected help of Mr. Saunders had begun to encourage me to think that I might succeed after all in holding a public meeting in Calcutta, when I received the following cable from Durban. Parliament opens January, returns soon. So I addressed a letter to the press in which I explained why I had to leave Calcutta so abruptly and set off for Bombay. Before starting, I wired to the Bombay agent of Dada Abdullah and Company to arrange for my passage by the first possible boat to South Africa. Dada Abdullah had just then purchased the steamship Corland and insisted on my travelling on that boat, offering to take me and my family free of charge. I gratefully accepted the offer and in the beginning of December set sail a second time for South Africa, now with my wife and two sons and the only son of my widowed sister. Another steamship, Naderi, also sailed for Durban at the same time. The agents of the company were Dada Abdullah and Company. The total number of passengers these boats carried must have been about 800, half of whom were bound for the Transvaal.